Hi, and welcome to CoshoctonCountySports.com's Sports Zone Sports Show. I'm Dan Wolfgang, and in just a few moments, we'll be joined by Riverview head girls soccer coach Dave Kreidler, as well as the two boys soccer coaches from our area, Bornwell Singina of Riverview and Brian Dunlap of Coshocton. But before we do that, we want to recap what happened last week in high school football action. The Coshocton Redskins improved to 2-0 on the season after defeating Manchester 21-13. Wasn't exactly an easy road for the Redskins, as CHS didn't score in the final 30 minutes of the game, but that first half performance was more than enough to push past the Panthers. The Riverview Black Bears fell to 0-2 after a 28-0 loss to West Holmes. They'll be taking on Ridgewood this upcoming week. The Generals were successful in their game against Steubenville Catholic Central, 34-7, the final score there. A school record for senior Jake Conrad, who ran for 400 yards in the victory. Also, don't forget, coming up on Friday, we'll have Coshocton high school football action for you on CoshoctonCountySports.com. The 2-0 Redskins will take on the 2-0 West Holmes Knights from Millersburg right here on CCS. Stay tuned. Again, girls soccer coach Dave Kreidler coming up next right here on the Sports Zone Sports Show. Hi, and welcome back to the Sports Zone Sports Show. We're joined by Riverview girls soccer coach Dave Kreidler, talking about how the Black Bears have done this season. And Coach, your team did extremely well in the regular season last year, didn't drop a single game throughout the course of that regular season, but you had a bit of a hiccup in the sectional tournament, falling to the Coshocton Redskins. How much have you used that as a motivating factor for your team as you now move into the 2009 season?
I would have to say not at all, because this is a different team, and certainly they remember that it happened, so it's quite possible that we'll remind them at some point, but we're focusing on building this team. It's a different sort of team. We don't have the depth we had last year, but we have some real virtues too.
What are the expectations then for your group? Are you setting that bar again of going undefeated in the regular season?
No, that not necessarily, because our schedule is tough enough that we could learn from any loss, but every year at Riverview, our first goal is to win the league and then to win the district.
Now, I know that we're a couple of games into the 2009 season. How have things been going for your girls out there in Warsaw?
I thought in the preseason, especially in the summer, that we were about as ragged as we've ever been. But we have great character on this team, and I feel that we've really congealed, so I'm quite happy with them at this point.
Who are the girls that you have seen in this early part of the season that have stepped up and become the leaders for your Black Bear squad?
Well, we have two captain seniors, Danielle Thomas, Danny Sheets, and the junior captain, Katie Samsel. But I think just as a group, they're very accountable and close with each other.
Take us through. You said you have some depth problems. Where are the parts? Is it forward, midfield, defense, or a combination of all three, where you find that you're having the most problems with that depth?
Right now, the depth is not a problem, but it's just such a contrast to last year. Last year, we played 20 kids every night, and it was part of our strength. But that depth didn't have any bearing on the game that we lost in the tournament, because it was a cool day and it was a game of adrenaline. So if we stay injury-free, we're deep enough. It's just we're about 6 girls shy currently of that kind of depth.
So then that's obviously a big hope if you stay injury-free.
Right, and we have been largely, and I think we're more fit this year. I think we knew we had to be because of the situation. We also have some kids, though, that we feel as the season comes on are going to develop for us and help us with the depth.
Last week we heard from Kimmy Underwood, the Coshocton girls head soccer coach, a little bit about the Redskin program. Coming up in just a few days here, you're going to have a showdown against the Redskins, I believe, in Coshocton at Kids America. What are your expectations for that game, and how important is it for your girls squad to go out there and perform well against their rival?
Well, of course it's important, but I think Kimmy and I have learned that, in the last couple of years, or last several years, we've played each other 3 times, so we view it as one game. we know the first time we played them last year, we outshot them 15-5 and won 5-0. In the tournament, we outshot them 15-5 and lost 1-0. So, you learn from every game. I'm sure she will approach this the same way. The league title is very important to both of us, but it's one game.
Well, and that is the nature of the game. Sometimes the breaks go your way, sometimes they don't.
That's soccer. I mean, maybe more than any sport. There aren't many sports where you can say someone dominated and lost. It doesn't happen in football very often or basketball, but soccer can be a more cruel game sometimes.
Yeah, absolutely. Now you mentioned your two senior leaders, and I know you've got a list there of some of the other players you want to mention. Maybe if you can run through a couple of other of the players on your squad that you expect to take up a big role for your group, and players that you expect to lead your team to hopefully pass the sectional tournament this year.
Well, I'm almost reluctant to single kids out because we're so sort of unified, but on the attacking side, Danny Sheets has scored a goal in every game so far. Kristen Eaton and Bree Moran have scored in 2 games. And we seem to be pretty solid in the back after being quite shaky this summer. And in the back we have Lexi Davis, Katie Sampsel, Peyton Stipes, who's new to us, who's returned from Florida, and Rachel Hammond. We have quite a strong sophomore class, and I think last year they were a little intimidated, even though they had made their impact. And this year they're just very integrated and performing really well for us.
So then it's fair to say, even if things don't work or don't go according to plan for your team this year, down the road, at least the next year or two, you've got a pretty good forecast out there at Riverview.
I believe we do, yes.
Don't want to commit too much to anything there, do you, Coach?
Well, 1 year at a time.
Good call, good call. Coach, anything else you want to add about your team, the general performance? Even I know we've got the Labor Day Showcase, which is coming up. We've actually played it on Monday. So what's it like? You guys play such a tough schedule. What does that do for your players throughout the course of the season to play these really tough teams?
Well, when you schedule a year in advance, you never know how tough your schedule is going to turn out to be. And it would be a mistake for this team to play too tough of a schedule. And I wondered this summer whether we didn't. But you have to challenge your kids to find out where they are. And I think in the end, the schedule is quite appropriate for what our abilities are now. And so, but on the other hand, you don't want to schedule have such a weak schedule just to get a seed, and then not be able to rise up at tournament time. So you sort of walk that middle ground.
Scheduling's a bit of an art thing.
Yes, it is, and you never know what team that you think is going to be really good may have injuries in the intervening time between when you schedule and when you play, and so you never quite know what your schedule's going to prove to be.
Well, it'll be an interesting season to watch for the Riverview girls soccer program. Coach Kreidler, anything else you want to add right here on CoshoctonCountySports.com?
Well, I just did want to remind people that to come to see our Labor Day Showcase on Monday. They're the only games that'll be played on Monday in the state, and it's the only event of its kind in Ohio for high school soccer, so we would appreciate support for that.
It'll be a big event going out on in Warsaw. You're going to be playing Charleston Catholic, I believe, is the school out in West Virginia. A very tough team, and it'll be interesting to see how the Black Bears respond in that showdown. Coach Kreidler, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you very much, Daniel.
When we return, we'll be joined by Riverview Black Bears boys soccer head coach Bornwell Ciangina right here on CoshoctonCountySports.com.